Le ras-le-bol se fait sentir en ce 13e jour de grève. La question est, les Français du public et du privé vont-ils répondre à l'appel à manifester contre la réforme des retraites ? Les nouveaux députés britanniques prêtent serment aujourd'hui. L'impatience monte pour le Premier ministre Boris Johnson qui a hâte de présenter son accord de Brexit vendredi à Westminster. Angela Merkel motive représentants des lenders, syndicats et patronats pour attirer des travailleurs qualifiés venant d'ailleurs que d'Europe. L'Allemagne en a un besoin urgent.
Il assure que ses propos ont été mal interprétés. Un ministre estonien présente ses excuses après avoir qualifié la première ministre finlandaise de vendeuse de magasins.
Tous les syndicats ont appelé à manifester à Paris et en région contre la réforme des retraites. Salariés du privé comme du public, cheminots, enseignants, fonctionnaires, avocats, magistrats en grève, mais aussi internes, médecins et soignants sont mobilisés ce 17 décembre. Mais attention, hier matin, le ras-le-bol se faisait sentir dans les transports parisiens.
Je suis sortie depuis 5 heures chez moi, mais là, sur la gare du Nord, c'est vraiment la galère. Il faut que j'arrive dans les 15e.
Fast-track migration. We look at how sectarianism still plays a role in modern India, 70 years after partition. Welcome back to the programme. It is another day of headaches for commuters in France as the country enters its 13th day of national strikes over proposed pension reforms. Paris is being particularly badly hit, with the metro and rail services almost completely shut down. Flights in and out of Paris-Orly Airport are being reduced. Unions are demanding that President Macron drops his plans for pension reform, arguing that millions of people would have to delay their retirement. Well, let's go live now to the French capital, Paris, where our correspondent Annelise Borges is there for us. Morning, Annelise. So, over 2 weeks of strikes now, just how much disruption is planned for today?
Big disruptions, Rosie. Good morning to you as well. Here in the French capital, as well as in other major cities all over France, mass demonstrations are set to take place, a show of force in order to send a message to the French government that a vast number of people here in France do not agree with his plans to reform the pension system here in this country. Railway workers will be leading the way, they who have led the strikes so far. They will be joined in the streets by teachers, students, civil servants, lawyers, pilots, stewards. The plan is for a large number of people to take to the streets. That was the call of unions all over France. The French capital will be largely blocked. A vast part of the city will be blocked. Streets will be blocked so that people can march safely. And that, of course, will add to the disruption that Parisians have been experiencing for 13 days now. As you can see behind me, this is a metro station. This is normally buzzing at this time of day with people going in and going to work or going to school. These metro lines here that are served in this station are closed, and this is going to be the case for a large number of metro lines in Paris today, as well as bus and trams. And as you said, some 20% of flights will be grounded at France's second largest airport, Orly.
Annelise, a slightly unexpected development yesterday when the pensions chief resigned. What impact is that going to have on the ongoing row over the pension reform?
Well, for now, the French government is spinning this in a positive way, or at least trying to paint this lightly. But this was a big blow for the administration of Emmanuel Macron, who had brought Jean-Paul Delevoye to craft this plan, this complex plan to reform one of the most convoluted pension systems in the entire world. Delevoye was known here in France as Mr. Pension. He had spent the last 2 years traveling the country, meeting with union leaders who are very powerful here in France, trying to develop contacts, trying to develop a relationship so that they could negotiate, and coming up with this plan that is being presented and so contested right now. So, but he was caught in this scandal where he failed to declare some 13, some other media are citing 10 different other activities, jobs that he held while holding this position. God knows how he had time to do some 13 other jobs while crafting this complicated plan. The government says it doesn't matter. He fulfilled his part of the duty. They are going to go ahead now with this plan, but unions and opposition politicians are saying that this reform was based on lies and conflict of interests and should be dropped altogether.
What about the public, Annalise? Because a fortnight ago when these strikes started, the public were very much in support of the strikes. As it inches closer towards Christmas and it might interrupt their plans, is that still the same case?
Well, the feeling in the streets of Paris is that of exasperation. A lot of people are wondering just how long this is going to go for. 4 weeks into the strike, indeed, 68% of the French supported the action, but now that is starting to dwindle. Many French people have mixed feelings about this movement. Now, take a listen.
So it's a little annoying with the strike and everything that's going on, but we also have to think about those people who also want their pensions. We have to think about it. They still want to strike during Christmas, so it's a little difficult for all the people affected. So we hope that it will go well in the sense that we want to have trains to spend Christmas with our families. For me, that's the main thing.
So a large number of people divided, feeling as though it's not fair with them that the country is coming to a halt. This is not, of course, similar to what happened back in '95, but it does echo the same kind of message. For now, negotiations seem to have stalled, but the Prime Minister announced that he will be receiving union leaders tomorrow in his office.
Annalise Borges, our international correspondent, live in Paris. Thank you. Still to come here on the programme, from a refugee forum in Switzerland to an immigration summit in Germany, we take a look at how organisations and governments are dealing with resettlement in Europe. That's all to come.
Everywhere you look in Azerbaijan, there's another amazing view, another great character. It just never stops. You have to take another look, and then another. I didn't know what to expect with Azerbaijan, and I have to say, I'm blown away. Can't wait to come back to take another look.
Azerbaijan, take another look.
Forge of Empires. Develop your own city from the Stone Age to the future. Available in the App Store and at FOE.tv. Play now.
Your top stories coming up shortly on Good Morning Europe.
This week on Euronews.
At the crossroads between East and West, Dubai's in a constant state of expansion, innovation and reinvention.
Dubai has always been at the cutting edge of retail innovation.
It's little wonder that it's known globally as an international dynamic business hub. Doing business Dubai style, that's on target. On Euronews and Euronews.com.
Welcome back to Good Morning Europe. Reminder of the main story today. Calls for a Christmas truce have so far gone unheeded in France as workers step up their strikes against the government's planned pension reforms. But while parts of the country have been brought to a standstill, there is movement in other areas, notably the popularity of President Emmanuel Macron, which has gone up, according to the latest poll. It's an issue that governments around the world struggle to deal with in an effective way: the recovery and resettlement of refugees. Political leaders will be looking for viable solutions today at the inaugural Global Refugee Forum in Geneva. The meeting, led by UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres, is being billed as an opportunity to build momentum towards achieving real solutions for those fleeing violence and persecution. The UNHCR's chief spokesperson, Adrian Edwards, says the summit's an opportunity to find solutions to the problems facing refugees.
We're looking here at how we work, how the international community, how the world deals with the millions of refugees and forcibly displaced people, not just over the coming months, but really into this coming decade, where, if you remember at the end of it, we have this broad goal of leaving no one behind. So there will be tracking of the pledges that are being made and are being announced over the next day or two. We'll be following up individually with countries, and it's incredibly important that we now translate the words that go behind this into the actions necessary, really, to bring about a better system for protection, for inclusion of refugees.
You've said that you're going to speak very plainly about challenges. I wonder then why something like the EU's involvement in sending refugees back to Libya isn't on the agenda.
There is an incredibly busy agenda. We're looking this morning, as people are starting to arrive here, at about 3,000 participants who we have to squeeze into these 2 days. There will be the discussions. They will mostly happen on the sidelines to it. But there's also a very, very tight agenda we have to go through to stick to that. But
so
it's a
what
forum,
challenges
and
are you
will be
speaking plainly about then? Because that would be, in terms of Europe's perspective on Euronews, Europe's responsibility in terms of that processing of people back to Libya is key. What about Australia's offshore detention facilities? Is that on the agenda?
Well, you're correct in saying that we are in an environment of a number of challenges to asylum. If you look back at the past years, the changes that we had, particularly after the more than 1 million people crossed the Mediterranean in 2015, that's brought about changes in the overall environment for acceptance for refugees. It's had effects on politics, which still play out today. We have to try now to look beyond that, which is why this meeting's so important. We really have to find, I think, the answers and the solutions to this so that we can move forward and address the fact that we have millions of people fleeing war and persecution who need help.
In Germany, immigration was top of the agenda for a summit hosted by Angela Merkel. The German Chancellor met company leaders and trade unions to highlight the growing skills shortage in the country. The government says Germany needs more skilled migrants if it wants to retain its competitive advantage in global trade. France has extradited the Argentinian former policeman Mario Sandoval after 7 years of diplomatic efforts. He's wanted in connection with the kidnapping and murder of an architecture student in the 1970s, but is also suspected of involvement in a number of crimes, including torture and murder during Argentina's so-called Dirty War in the late 70s and early 80s. Sandoval later moved to France, where he obtained citizenship and worked as a university professor. Estonia has apologised after its country's interior minister called Finland's new prime minister a salesgirl and questioned her fitness for the post. Sanna Marin was appointed prime minister last week and at age 34 is the world's youngest serving government leader. And an outbreak of the flu has forced an elementary school in Austria to temporarily close. 150 students have caught the virus in Tyrol and the west of the country. Normally, 250 students attend the school, which will now be shut for 5 days in an attempt to prevent the virus spreading further. Italy's top footballing league, Serie A, is come under fire after it unveiled its latest anti-racism campaign. It features paintings of monkeys. Sean in the Cube has the story.
There has been a persistent issue in Italian football, and that is of racism. Racist chants by fans, some fans in the stands, onto players on the pitch. And we have seen cases like this over the past season, Mario Balotelli being one of those who has faced those racist chants. And so Serie A, the Italian league, has aimed to tackle racism, but they unveiled one of their plans last night, and it has faced significant criticism. They unveiled these 3 pieces of artwork, 3 paintings of monkeys, different colours on each monkeys, aim to represent one Asian monkey, one Western monkey and one black monkey. Now, we've reached out to Serie A. They've yet to get back to us, but they issued a statement to the Associated Press. They said that Serie A decided that every year it will have a different artist interpret the damage caused by racism. They said the idea behind this artwork is that whoever shouts racist chants regresses to his primitive status of being a monkey. But there was many people unhappy with this artwork, including Roma, the Italian team, saying that we understand that the league wants to tackle racism, but saying that this was not the right way to go about it. We also had this female Chelsea football player taking to Twitter to say that you guys need to have a good look at yourselves, pointing to Serie A, saying how many people did it get through to look at this commissioned artwork and whoever signed off on this. Now, the artist himself, he spoke of this yesterday. Let's just take a listen.
So, to answer the question I heard a minute ago, why monkeys? An initiative against racism and you're using monkeys? Yes, because at some point it's impossible to tell people in the stadium that it's inconceivable to call someone a monkey just because he's black. I thought maybe I'll teach them that we're all monkeys, turning the concept around.
Now, we reached out to the artist this morning. He gave us a detailed statement just received. In it, he noted that monkeys have been a protagonist in his work consistently, but he went on to say that he's always judged people by their qualities and never by the colour of their skin. We've reached out to Syria A, and they've yet to get back to us.
Thank you very much for that story, Shauna. The European Parliament is to consider the rule of law in Malta in the wake of the murder of an investigative journalist. The EU has already urged Valletta to speed up reforms to ensure the independence of its judiciary. It comes amid concerns over the integrity of the investigation into the murder of journalist Daphne Caruana Galizia, which prompted Maltese Prime Minister Joseph Muscat to announce his resignation and sparked protests in the country. Joining us now from Strasbourg is Euronews' political editor, Darren McCaffrey. Morning to you, Darren. What has the EU specifically requested from Malta?
Well, essentially what they're requesting is a beefing up of their judiciary and the way that they deal with rule of law issues, given the fact that key members of Joseph Muscat's government have been linked to the murder of that journalist. It means that the Commission have written essentially to Muscat's government calling for them to find solutions to strengthen the rule of law based on cooperation and mutual support, and saying that essentially they want to see this impetus and political priority to accelerate those reforms as soon as possible. And it is a sign, I think, of the concern in Brussels, and indeed we'll see expressed at the debate by MEPs today at how this has all been dealt with by the Maltese government. Concerns that Malta itself has turned into somewhat of a mafia state, and that the political will to try and get to the bottom of who was behind this murder simply is not there. And that, of course, we'll also hear from MEPs today that the Prime Minister needs to go immediately, not at the start of the next year, as he's announced.
You talk about concerns there, Darren. I wonder how much impact the EU can actually have on accelerating Malta's judiciary reforms. You had some MEPs go for a fact-finding mission, but what can they actually do to try and accelerate that process?
As you say, in many regards, it all is about exerting pressure. We had a group of MEPs visit Malta, in the last couple of weeks or so on a fact-finding mission. Again, they concluded that reforms were absolutely necessary and that Joseph Muscat needed to go. In addition to that, clearly the Commission is trying to exert political pressure as well. Some of the greatest pressure may well have to come from within the Socialists and Democrats, because, of course, Joseph Muscat is part of that political grouping. But in the end, actually, in reality, they can't really do very much apart from initiating the Article 7 process. And I think at this stage we're a long way from that. But given the size of Malta is Europe's smallest EU nation state, political pressure from MEPs in Strasbourg and indeed from Brussels, I think will actually have some bearing on this process, Rosie.
Just finally, Darren, obviously rule of law in Malta is going to be a very significant part of today's proceedings in the European Parliament. But what else is on the agenda? I hear something to do with bees.
Yeah, indeed. So we've got COP25, the fallout from that. Clearly quite a lot of disappointment that not much agreement was reached there. We've got the election of the EU Ombudsman. Adele O'Reilly is currently in charge there. That's the kind of organisation that looks into maladministration in the EU. And then you're right, aside from Brexit, which is also being talked about, there is this issue of bees. MEPs very concerned about the death of bees and the impact that is having on Europe's environment. So they're going to kind of try and come up with solutions to save the good old-fashioned bee across Europe.
Darren McCaffrey, our political editor, live in Strasbourg. Thank you very much. Still to come here on the programme. Questions hang over just what the newly elected UK Prime Minister's Brexit strategy is. We'll take a look at Boris Johnson's revised plans after the break.
Can someone working alone solve all the world's biggest challenges?
Essere altri in assenza di significative modifiche. Ciononostante, ai 737 MAX è stato impedito di volare solo dopo il secondo incidente in Etiopia. Di nuovo in piazza per protestare contro l'elite politica del paese, alla vigilia del vertice che potrebbe riconsegnare a Saad Hariri le redini del governo libanese. Per il secondo giorno consecutivo migliaia di persone hanno affollato le strade di Beirut e come già successo sabato la manifestazione è degenerata in scontri tra manifestanti e polizia che ha usato gas lacrimogeni, proiettili di gomma e idranti per disperdere la folla. I feriti, stando alla Croce Rossa, sarebbero più di 130. Nelle prossime ore è in programma l'avvio dei colloqui tra il Presidente della Repubblica e i gruppi parlamentari per la formazione del nuovo governo. Dalle trattative delle ultime settimane tra i partiti, i rappresentanti dei vari gruppi etnici e religiosi del paese, non è emerso alcun nome slegato dall'attuale elite politica, ritenuta responsabile della crisi economica che ha messo in ginocchio il Libano. L'ipotesi sempre più concreta di una Hariri bis ha riportato il paese indietro di 2 mesi, quando i manifestanti erano scesi in strada proprio per chiedere, ottenendole, le dimissioni del primo ministro.
La strada per Istanbul è ancora lunga, ma pian piano inizia a delinearsi. Questo lunedì l'urna di Nyon ha stabilito chi giocherà contro chi negli ottavi di finale di Champions League. È andata tutto sommato bene alla Juventus, che ha pescato l'Olympique Lione. Per i bianconeri, si sa, dopo 8 scudetti consecutivi l'obiettivo principale ora è solo uno.
La Juve c'ha Champions League come obiettivo concreto. Questo sì, non è un'ossessione, però obiettivo sì, perché ci sentiamo abbastanza forti per poter affrontare grandi squadre europee, perciò sì, siamo ambiziosi, però sappiamo che solamente ottavi e dobbiamo fare bene, se non arrivi in forma non passi turno.
Piange invece il Napoli, il primo ostacolo dei partenopei sulla strada verso la finale è niente meno che il Barcellona di Lionel Messi, fresco vincitore del 6° pallone d'oro. Ma in casa a Blaugrana sanno che questo Napoli è tutto fuorché da sottovalutare. È vero che da poco hanno cambiato l'allenatore, che non hanno iniziato al meglio in campionato, ma stanno facendo un gran torneo in Champions. La terza italiana tra le migliori 16 d'Europa è la sorprendente Atalanta. La Dea non può lamentarsi, affronterà infatti il Valencia, sarebbe potuta andare molto peggio.
Can someone working alone solve all the world's biggest challenges?
Je les trempe séparément pendant 8 à 12 heures.
C'est beaucoup.
Oui, nous avons 3 sortes de viande. Il y a du bœuf, et voici du chorizo et du porc. J'aime bien quand il y a un peu de gras, pour le porc aussi. Et le plus important est d'utiliser du...
Esta semana, na Euronews.
Graças a projeto europeu, 2 cidades croatas e uma cidade sérvia trabalham em conjunto num projeto de produção de energia renovável. O consumo energético dos edifícios públicos e das infraestruturas foi reduzido. A cooperação entre os 2 países, outrora desavindos, aumentou. A energia solar lança uma ponte entre os 2 lados do Danúbio. Esta semana em Smart Regions, na Euronews e euronews.com.
Sem respostas no horizonte, a Boeing decidiu parar de produzir os aviões 737 MAX após terem sido proibidos de voar há quase um ano. O governo britânico fica quase como estava, os novos deputados conservadores prestam juramento, Boris Johnson afina estratégias para o voto do Brexit.
A Alemanha procura trabalhadores qualificados fora da União Europeia para desagrado da extrema-direita.
Nova jornada de protesto em França promete paralisar alguns setores. Vários estão em greve há mais de 10 dias.
Ficaram em terra nos últimos 9 meses e daí não saem nos próximos tempos. A Boeing decidiu suspender a produção do controverso modelo 737 MAX a partir de janeiro. A construtora garante que a medida de caráter temporário não vai afetar os cerca de 12 mil postos de trabalho diretos. Mas já não pode dizer o mesmo em relação às cerca de 900 empresas que fabricam peças para estes aviões.
Qualquer pessoa na Boeing reconhece que se cometeram erros graves, tanto do lado da empresa como das entidades reguladoras. Não houve uma transparência total acerca dos problemas. E isso agravou a situação, porque continuam a surgir novas informações. Há cada vez mais capítulos na novela e mais questões sobre a segurança do avião.
Após os acidentes na Indonésia e Etiópia, que fizeram 346 mortos, a Administração Federal de Aviação Americana assegura que os 737 MAX não vão descolar tão cedo, enquanto não se definirem mudanças concretas, sobretudo no software de controle de voo. Desde que a circulação foi interrompida, foram construídos mais 4 centenas de aparelhos, que, por sua vez, não puderam ser entregues às companhias perante a persistência da interdição. Calcula-se que as perdas da Boeing já ascendam aos 8 mil milhões de euros. Não há tempo a perder para cumprir a tão falada promessa de um Brexit concluído. Boris Johnson já se reuniu com os 109 novos deputados conservadores que assumem funções hoje para afinar a estratégia no arranque dos debates parlamentares após o discurso da rainha na próxima quinta-feira. E não se esperam grandes surpresas. O primeiro-ministro britânico pretende levar imediatamente a voto o acordo de saída da União Europeia. Johnson prefere manter intacto quase todo o executivo, por agora reforçando a coesão pelo menos até 31 de janeiro. Os conservadores passaram a dispor de uma maioria de 80 assentos na Câmara dos Comuns, o que não deverá deixar qualquer margem para dúvidas. Ao que tudo indica, o governo irá também incluir uma cláusula no acordo para impedir a extensão do período de transição após o Brexit, ou seja, Johnson quer que todo o processo termine até ao final de 2020, sem hipótese de prorrogações. Os seus opositores dizem que esse cenário limita consideravelmente a concretização de um acordo comercial com Bruxelas.
A Alemanha está à procura de trabalhadores qualificados fora da União Europeia. Aprovada este ano, a Lei de Imigração de Mão de Obra Especializada entra em vigor a 1 de março do próximo ano. Procura facilitar a entrada na Alemanha de profissionais de países não pertencentes ao Bloco Europeu. Na segunda-feira, numa reunião em Berlim, a chanceler alemã disse que a prioridade seria reforçar a formação dos alemães, mas que isso não chega. Temos falta de trabalhadores qualificados e, portanto, temos interesse em contratá-los. Para isso precisamos de processos que sejam razoáveis e que tornem claro que a Alemanha está interessada em pessoas que façam determinados trabalhos que mais ninguém faz.
Corresponderá al presidente de la Cámara de los Comunes determinar si el Parlamento celebra su primera votación sobre el proyecto de ley ese mismo día o si se espera hasta principios de enero después del receso de Navidad. Se espera que el acuerdo de divorcio reciba un fuerte apoyo en el Parlamento gracias a la nueva fuerte mayoría de los conservadores.
Un apretón de manos y poco más. Como ya se esperaba, la reunión entre Pedro Sánchez y Pablo Casado no deparó nada nuevo en el marco de las negociaciones por la investidura. El líder del Partido Popular reiteró su no al presidente en funciones, al que dejó clara la imposibilidad de formar parte de un gobierno en el que esté Unidas Podemos. Casado también se ha mostrado contrario a la opción propuesta por Inés Arrimadas, que aboga por un pacto entre PSOE, PP, Ciudadanos y Navarra Suma. El acuerdo entre estos 4 partidos se traduciría en 221 diputados, mayoría más que suficiente que dejaría de lado tanto a Podemos como a los nacionalistas catalanes. Pero esta opción se antoja casi imposible, ya que no solo no convence al PP, sino tampoco al PSOE, que ya ha dejado claro que no tiene intención de romper su pacto con el partido de Pablo Iglesias. Con todo, la opción más viable ahora mismo para que haya gobierno sigue siendo la abstención de Esquerra Republicana. El PSOE sigue en conversaciones con los independentistas catalanes, con la intención de sacar adelante la investidura para antes de fin de año. El fantasma de las terceras elecciones amenaza con estropear la Navidad.
Boeing suspende temporalmente la fabricación de su polémico 737 MAX, el modelo involucrado en 2 accidentes que costaron la vida a más de 340 personas. La decisión, que tendrá efecto en enero, llega al no poder obtener la autorización necesaria para que el aparato retome su actividad. La Administración Federal de Aviación, órgano regulador de la aviación civil estadounidense, ha prohibido sus vuelos, al igual entre otros que Alemania, Francia o Reino Unido, por su aparente falta de seguridad, sumiendo al fabricante estadounidense en una crisis sin precedentes. La gente de Boeing debería ser la primera en reconocer que se cometieron errores, tanto por su parte como por parte de la Administración Federal de Aviación, por no ser totalmente abiertos. Esto ha agravado la situación actual porque siguen apareciendo nuevas informaciones que hacen que esto parezca un culebrón y aumentan las preocupaciones sobre la capacidad del modelo. El primer accidente tuvo lugar en octubre de 2018 en Indonesia, dejando 189 muertos. El segundo fue en Etiopía el pasado marzo, con 157 fallecidos. Desde entonces, el modelo dejó de operar. En ambos casos, la causa fue un problema informático y tras el último, algunos senadores estadounidenses llegaron a describir estas aeronaves como ataúdes con alas. Boeing fue acusada de ocultar ciertos aspectos de su aparato.
Решили власти австрийской земли Тироль. С декабря по апрель они запрещают проезд по федеральным дорогам. Исключение будет делаться только для местных жителей и тех, кто едет в населенные пункты Тироля.
В Национальной баскетбольной ассоциации Сан-Антонио выигрывал 25 очков у Хьюстона Джеймса Хардена, но не удержал преимущество и уступил 107-109. В составе Шпура центровой Ламаркус Олдридж набрал 19 очков и сделал 13 подборов, а защитник Брин Форбс все свои 18 очков набрал в первой половине матча. Ракеты организовали погоню во второй половине усилиями Хардена и Рассела Уэсбрука, набравших 28 и 31 очко соответственно. Хозяева паркета впервые повели в счете за 5 минут до конца матча и дожали своих оппонентов в нервной концовке, когда в последние 2 минуты баскетболисты Спёрс смазали 4 броска из 5. Для Хьюстона это 18-я победа в сезоне, и он сохраняет 5-е место на Западе. Сан-Антонио пока не в зоне плей-офф.
Футуризм – художественное авангардистское движение в литературе и искусстве отмечает свое 110-летие. В честь юбилея в итальянской Пизе проходит выставка, на которой представлены ключевые работы художников, сформировавших это движение. Основоположником футуризма был итальянский поэт Филиппо Маринетти. В 1909 году в одной из ведущих французских газет «Фигаро» он опубликовал манифест футуризма, который был написан для молодых итальянских художников. По окончании обучения в Париже Маринетти переехал в Италию. Приехав в Милан, он понял, что произошли эпохальные изменения в обществе, в том числе и в итальянском. Поэтому он решил, что пришло время начать эстетическую революцию во всех областях искусства. Футуристы восхищались всем, что считалось современным. Скоростью, технологиями, молодежью и насилием, автомобилем, самолетом, промышленным городом, всем, что представляло технологический триумф человечества над природой. Они были пылкими националистами. Искусство, музыка, архитектура – все это должно было изменить общество. Эти манифесты были адресованы общественности, толпе, а не небольшой группе посвященных. Это была еще одна особенность движения, которое, безусловно, было одним из самых важных авангардистских течений XX века. Фашизм в надежде на модернизацию.
Esta semana en Euronews.
At the crossroads
En la encrucijada entre Oriente y Occidente, Dubái se encuentra constantemente en expansión, innovación y reinvención.
Dubái siempre ha estado a la vanguardia del comercio minorista.
Una pequeña maravilla conocida globalmente como Centro Internacional de Negocios. Haciendo negocios como en Dubái, en el nuevo programa de Target en Euronews y Euronews.com.
Soy el astronauta Luca Parmitano a bordo de la Estación Espacial Internacional. Prepárese a viajar por el espacio conmigo en Euronews. Cada día en el espacio es distinto, no hay rutina. Las vistas son sensacionales, increíbles. Si siente curiosidad por saber cómo es la vida en la estación espacial, siga mis aventuras en Euronews.
Cientos de usuarios han entrado a empujones en el transporte público en una nueva jornada de huelga en Francia contra la reforma de las pensiones.
Alemania necesita urgentemente extranjeros para cubrir 1.400.000 empleos. El gobierno prepara una ley para atraer mano de obra cualificada.
Los encuentros de Sánchez con Casado